Okay.
Okay, you can hear Mario? Got it. Okay. Can you say a couple more words there, Vice Chair Chan?
Yes, I'm here. I'm present. And is it okay if I can vote on Zoom, right? Is that acceptable?
Yes.
And is it better for me to verbally or raise my hand? What would you prefer?
Uh, verbally. Actually,
Okay.
hold on. Keep on speaking real quick.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah. Just make it so. Cause I have some other headphones on. But yeah, okay.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just wait for you, when I'll just wait for you to call out like I normally would and just vote accordingly.
Oh, for sure.
Great.
It's oh, got you. Right. Let me ask the crew real quick. Um, Chair Riley. Hold on. If I may, Chair Riley. If I may, if I just want to test y'all's ears real quick. No, they're not listening to me. Hold on. Just want to test y'all ears real quick to see if y'all can hear Tiffany Chan. Um,
Hi, can you guys hear me?
okay, you're good. Okay, yep,
Okay.
it is good. All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Want to call to order this meeting of the Measure G1 District-wide Teacher Retention and Middle School Improvement Act Oversight Commission. Mr. Hollis, can I get a roll call?
Yes, Chair Riley. On the roll call for the Measure G1 District-wide Teacher Retention and Middle School Improvement Act Oversight Commission regular meeting for March 10th, 2026. Commissioner Lee,
Present.
Commissioner Wall,
Present.
Secretary Mesa is absent. Vice Chair Chan,
Present.
And Chair Riley.
Present.
Quorum present.
Thank you. Do we have any speaker request cards or changes to the agenda?
I have none.
Adoption of our minutes from our last meeting. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the last minutes from the last meeting.
I second. Can we still vote on this? Do we have quorum? All right.
Okay. Yes. So, for the minutes, there are no public commenters signed up to speak for this item. Would you like me to proceed with the vote, Chair?
Yes, please.
All right. On the motion to approve the February 10th, 2026 Measure G1 Commission meeting minutes, Commissioner Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner Wall,
I'm going to abstain since I wasn't here.
Secretary Mesa is absent, Vice Chair Chan,
Aye.
and Chair Riley.
Aye.
Minutes are approved.
Thank you. Consent report. We have, I believe, 26 items on our consent report. Just to explain for our new commissioners that all of these items are voted on all at once, unless there is a particular application that we want to pull out for discussion. Otherwise, we can vote on these all together. Are there any applications that we want to pull out for further discussion?
Can I ask a question before that? Yeah. Can I ask a question right now? Am I right in remembering that these have all been like pre-looked at by Karen and Cliff and the team? Okay. And they passed that part. Great. Awesome.
Then can I get a motion to approve the consent report?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent report.
Second.
Yes, so it's been moved and seconded. There are no public commenters for this item. And since all of the applications and carryovers are being approved at this point, I don't think that it wouldn't help to say all the names because all of them are being approved. So with that, would you like me to proceed with the vote?
Yes, please.
Right. On the
Sorry,
motion.
before you, can we just discuss for one moment? Before that?
Yes.
It didn't occur to me, but like, I know that there was some question about like approving the applications for the schools that we're associated with. So I don't know if we want to pull out the ones that are associated with those schools. So for example, Claremont, then Caroline doesn't have to, or sorry, is it Tiffany? Are you at Caroline?
Actually,
No.
both.
Both, yeah.
Oh, you're
I
both.
forgot about that.
Right. So for example, that one maybe,
Yeah.
I would ask that we pull that out
probably
of the
pull that out.
consent and that we save that for next time. Similar to Edna Brewer pull out, and then I don't know if you have any associations with schools. You
No.
don't. But sorry, I missed that before, but just, I don't know. Probably not that important, but if we want to like sort of be as rigorous as possible, maybe.
Yeah. Do we know what numbers those are?
So I saw Claremont is E5. So if we could pull that one, and then if we could pull out of the consent report, let's see where Edna Brewer is E9.
Wait, we should be able to. Do we have quorum on Edna Brewer though? Because I think
that's right.
Brandon, you're the only one.
do.
So actually, it is Claremont that
Yep.
the two of us need to recuse ourselves, but that should be the only one.
I guess what I was thinking is that if we pull E9 and vote on it separately, then I don't have to vote on that one, and then I could vote on the rest of the consent report. And I'm getting thumbs up from Mr. Hollis.
Yep.
Okay. So just so I'm clear, it is Claremont E.-5 and E.-9 Edna Brewer are the ones being pulled from the consent report?
Correct, and we'll vote separately. potentially tabling E5 for the next meeting, and then E9 we can vote on, and I'll just recuse myself from that.
Okay, we'll still have 3. Okay. All right, that makes sense to me.
I'm sorry to interrupt. There's actually 2 plans for Edna Brewer.
Oh.
It's E21, so you would have to vote on those 2 separately. One is an amendment for their carryover application.
Thank you so much.
So if I can name the items that are being pulled, is E.-5 Claremont Middle School G1 application 2627. E.-9 Edna Brewer G1 application for school year 2627. I just missed one.
And then E-21.
Yes, E.-21 Edna Brewer Middle School amendment to G1 carryover justification 2425. Right. So back to the motion. So on the motion to adopt the commission general consent report minus E.-5, E.-9, and E.-21. On the motion, Commissioner Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner Wall,
Yes.
Secretary Mesa is absent, Vice Chair Chan,
Aye.
and Chair Riley.
Aye.
The consent report is approved.
Can we vote on E9?
Yes, E.-9. I'll, I guess ask the question, would you like to take up E.-9 and E.-21 together?
Sure.
Okay. So that's E.-9 and E.-21. But before we even put it on the floor as a motion, my apologies. I just noticed this. We have quorum in the room. If Commissioner Wall steps out, we lose quorum in the room. So we would have to bring E.-5, E.-9, and E.-21 back for another day.
That makes sense. So quorum in the room is different from quorum including online.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Quorum is had inside of the room, whereas if we do have members who are online and or noticed to be online, they can still vote in the meetings, but the quorum still exists in the room.
I see.
So we always need quorum in the room.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So
Good thing we're all
currently,
here.
E.-5, E.-9, and E.-21 technically
for
cannot be
another day.
voted on today.
Okay.
Okay. And we'll add those to next month.
Yes. So just for the record, are E.-5, 9, and 21 they're being postponed to the next meeting?
Great.
Okay.
On to unfinished business. Item F1, use of the G1 surplus. After our meeting last month, I reached out to Commissioner Thompson in regards to the funds and was told that there was still more research that needed to be done on whether the funds could be used to help balance the budget or not. I don't know if you have an update on those funds.
Yes, I do have somewhat of an update, and the update is that it can be used if we are put in a tight. Those funds can be used in the general budget, but it has to be voted on, and it has to be approved when the budget is submitted to the general board. And so I can't say right now whether it would pass or not, or if part of the budget would be passed and that would be pulled. I'm not really sure yet, but that's the update that we have at this time. I had a conversation with our parliamentarian just to make sure, and I was informed that yes, it could be used.
What are the, you said a word, you said tight or something? What are
Oh,
the
yeah.
requirements for it to be used?
When the district is in a financial constraint, when there is a financial constraint, the district can use those funds, but again, it has to be voted on, basically.
How is financial constraint, how is that
Probably
defined?
with a budget, I haven't been told the exact wording, but I would assume that if we submit a budget that is less than a positive budget, it could be considered that you are in a financial constraint. So if we have a negative budget or a qualified budget, and that is a budget that's actually identified by the County Office of Education. They actually tell us what it looks like. But then again, of course, all of us would probably know that it's simply a budget that reflects our inability to meet the obligations that we have as a school district.
And Director Thompson, if I heard, is it the G1 Commission has to first approve it and then the full board would have to approve it?
Well,
or-
not necessarily.
Okay.
If the whole board or if the senior leadership team says, okay, we need to also take any surpluses that we have. It's not just the G1 surplus, but it's any surplus. Then, of course, I shouldn't say of course, it can be used.
Regardless of the G1 Commission's position?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
But I guess,
Because if G1 says, you know, we want this money to be used strictly for what it was passed
Sure.
for, then the board can actually override that if it's going to be used for the general budget.
gotcha.
Is there a way for us as a commission to state our position to the board?
Oh, yes. You can always, if any commissioner wants to come in public session, they can always come in public session and actually voice their concern. Just submit a speaker card, and then you can submit your concern.
Okay.
You can voice your concern, I should say.
If this happens, will all surpluses be treated equally, or will can you guys kind of pick and choose between, will you choose this surplus over that surplus?
I think all will be treated equally. I think when you mean treated equally, you mean that they will all the surpluses will, well, according to what I was told, yes, all the surpluses can be used if we're in a constraint.
One thing I would mention or think about in this situation, are we allowed to just discuss right now? Is that okay? I don't know what the rules are in terms of who can speak when, is twofold. One is G1 is going to be expiring in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
If voters feel like what they were intended for is not being met, I think we're going to have a tougher time making a case for it to be renewed. So if this gets rated and taken, even though that's not why it was passed by voters. It was passed by voters for teacher retention and middle school improvement. So if it's generally just going to patch together the budget, I think it sends a negative to voters. That said, you know, if the county had a negative certification, like something at a greater level than what we've seen to date, maybe I would be convinced and other people would be convinced otherwise, but kind of feels to me kind of messed up to just take this money and be like, hey, it's available, we're having issues, we're, you know, or I would rather see this like distributed to middle schools somehow, right? So it was like middle schools are using this to make up. So for example, the board had, I think, passed as part of this year's budget, cutting electives by half. So if this were restoring some of that electives funding, as an example, I feel like that's defensible to voters because that's actually the intention of what this is doing anyway, right? So those are just a couple ideas. I don't know, Caroline.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. I feel similarly, and thank you for that clarification that it's all of the measures. Because I thought it would maybe just be G1 because of teacher retention, and so it could go into the budget for that. And so that's why I would probably be okay with it. But yeah, if it's an equal pot from everyone, I'm not sure how you can distinguish between like what it's gonna go to.
Right, and then even on that question, as we know, I think 1% goes to the district, 65% goes to teacher retention, and 35% or something like that. I'm getting the percentages a little bit off, but roughly that. The teacher retention gets spent every year. It just goes to general salaries as a general increase across all teachers and staff, right? It's the part that it remains a surplus is the part that specifically is for middle schools and specifically for these specific, I'm using the word specific a lot, but it's for, what is it, world languages, for music, for art, for student culture, for these things that like, and in fact, I think that was most of what people were thinking about, and me as a voter, when I voted on it, were these things that were going to support middle schools and improvement. And so that would actually be putting an even greater percentage of it away from the middle school piece, right? Because that's what the surplus is that exists.
Do you know when we would have more clarity around the funds?
No, to be very candid, I don't know exactly when, but I'm pretty sure at any point where the board discusses the budget and how it will be used, you will know then. As a matter of fact, you anticipated something that I was going to say, but I didn't want to bring it up, but you anticipated it. But yeah, that's exactly it. Once, if you see the item on the agenda, or if you see it in what's being presented for the board to consider in terms of a budget, that's when we would probably know.
And then if am I remembering, and you guys have been here longer, that there might be some gap if we don't pass G1, let's say in May, which obviously isn't going to happen, or in September, are we fully funded such that we can sort of pass it in 2028 and sort of keep schools whole that whole time, or is there a gap? Does anyone know the answer to that question?
I really don't know.
Aaron, if you know. The question was if G1 doesn't get renewed until 2028, does that create a gap in funding between when the current one expires and when the new one is reauthorized? My understanding is that there is a gap, and if there is that gap, then that surplus again can be useful for continuing the work of G1 during that time, because schools will be very surprised if this money just disappears, right? And we're sort of setting ourselves up for a greater risk of that if the board decides to, rather than making hard general decisions about the budget, decides to try to scoop up all the surpluses from all the local parcel taxes.
One more.
Okay.
That just got me thinking around this money, because we just voted on a slate of funding for next year. And so I know earlier this year there was a hiring freeze, and so money that was meant to go to schools from G1, it was they couldn't use it for that until the hiring freeze was over. So my assumption is all the ones that we are voting on for next year, if it's used in the general budget, then they wouldn't be able to go to the schools. Is that correct? I believe so.
I don't think so. I think the last time, sorry, remind me of your colleague's name? Cliff. I think he said that this is the money that's just sitting aside. That they're trying to go after that $6 million. Yeah, rather than the money that kind of just keeps circulating.
Yeah.
Again, similar to the spirit of G1 and the spirit of the surplus, so like the commission has made the choice over the last cycle or a couple of cycles to kind of have that supplemental amount that sort of gets sent, there's like in the fall, right? If the money that kind of is left over, and all the calculations of that are based on this idea of like how big is that surplus that has been carried over, and then how many years left do we have of G1? Now, if the board were to take that money, right, that whole formula, that whole idea is actually, sort of like trumps it, right? It sort of, there was the idea of wanting to spread that surplus that has been accumulated because of unspent funds over the next kind of 2 or 3 cycles, but that all of a sudden disappears again. So we're then cutting the funds, right? So it's like, I think it was intentional, like, let's increase it over the next couple of years at a constant amount so that schools have kind of some certainty. This would actually force us to like decrease funding to middle schools, you know, for their electives.
I just want to say also that I think everything that you have brought up, and when I say you, this is the big you, that you brought up, I think really speaks to why it's important, I think, to voice your opinion at the board during the open session, because I can't say anything to prejudice my position, but yes, what you say, I think, can carry weight. And then, as a liaison, I am going to say this. Do explain why you're taking the position that you're taking, and talk about, you know, filling the gap. Talk about making sure that there's continuity. All of those things are very important. Those words, I think, are very important for board members to hear.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I guess just to clarify our position as a commission, are we saying that we would like for these funds not to be used to backfill the budget, but to be used for their original intention?
Yes.
Most definitely.
Yes,
Evan?
I agree.
So I think the best recourse is to pay attention to the upcoming board meetings, and select a representative. As the chair, I can represent the commission and go and state our position to the rest of the board. And I think if we could also keep this as an agenda item for next month, so we can have another discussion around it.
That sounds great. Thank you so much. When is the earliest that this would be voted on by the board? This particular.
It's a good possibility, and I'm only saying it's a good possibility that it would be voted on probably if not a concrete vote, certainly a discussion of it could potentially take place tomorrow night.
Wow, a vote would
But
even,
not a vote,
not
a
vote.
discussion
A
of it.
discussion.
Yeah. So you'd probably have maybe, and then I'm just prognosticating, maybe 2 weeks after tomorrow night. Yeah.
Because
I think
the
that's
vote can't be
25th.
on the same night as the discussion, is that right?
No, you're right. Normally you have a discussion on it and then you vote on it the following.
Just in terms of tomorrow night, I'm unable to attend if anyone else is.
Caroline or Tiffany, do either one of you want to volunteer for this esteemed and glorious? I think the board would rather hear from someone else, personally.
I think you described it so well.
Yeah, you did describe it well.
You have the right amount of passion. I think it's all you, buddy.
If either of you officially represent the G1 Commission, I'm happy to give a second comment.
If I may to that, it would be the chair or designee.
Okay.
So whoever the chair designates.
I designate Brandon.
I second that.
And I'm here to. Can I step out of the room before you make that designation, so you lose quorum and can no longer make such a designation? That sounds fine. I'm happy to do it. I will be on my best behavior. Maybe I'll talk to Cliff ahead of time and see if he can get a preview of my remarks.
Yeah, I think if you can just get those, I mean, I think we have 3 or 4 bullets
Yeah.
and get that really concise so people can really hear it, you know.
Totally.
Especially, I really liked what you said about how they're trying to, you know, move these funds and that gap is potentially there.
Yeah.
That's a really,
Right.
yeah, it's a really big deal for these middle schools.
It's also important that it's a one-time fix. Like this isn't a recurring. I think that's also important.
Yes.
To bring that up. Like, yes, it would fill we should fill up maybe the gap that we already foresee, versus, kind of another gap that will just kind of come up in another year.
Right. This does not solve a problem. It delays difficult decisions, is basically, which is my understanding, the culture of decision making for many years, not just the current board. You know, decades. It could be multiple decades. I don't know.
Appreciate the discussion. I'm glad we have clarity as a commission. Thank you for representing us. If it's not discussed tomorrow, I can do everything to make myself available to go to the next meeting. And thank you for bringing all this to us.
Sure, no problem at all. Thank you very much.
One question of clarification. So then, would it be an actual agenda item if it were discussed? And so then it would be as part of that agenda item that I would give public comment?
Please correct me, Mr. Hollis, if I'm misspeaking, but if there is a discussion, it is on the agenda as a discussion item. And of course, I think some specificity around being a voting item will follow after a discussion of the item itself.
As I'm thinking about the agenda, I believe there is an item on the agenda to talk about the current budget as it is, and that's where they can possibly make direction. But that as of the last meeting that we've had, there was no direction given on like possible budget scenarios, if you will. So
Exactly.
it could just be something to discuss, but I'm not sure.
And then one last question. The use of parcel taxes to fill the general fund or like the base fund kind of reserve, like that 2 or 3%. I know that was a practice earlier in the year, at least with Measure N and H. I don't know if that was also, if funds were also borrowed or kind of loaned from G1. I was curious if that was the case or not, if anyone knows. No?
I don't think it was.
Okay, so it was not, okay, great. And then, okay, that's the only question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So on to new business. We have site visit debriefs. These are not voting items because they're just debriefs. So we can just go into discussion.
If I may, my apologies. For F.-1, there was no public comment.
Good. Can we just go into discussion? Okay. Bret Harte Middle School. I was scheduled to visit that school on February 12th. We had to reschedule because of the potential strike that was possibly going to happen. And so we are coming up with a new date for that, so I haven't had a chance to visit that school yet. Did somebody go to Aspire Berkeley Maynard? Is that Freddie? Do we know?
Terrence, could you, I know that Karen is also going to let me know, but I'm interested in going to Bret Harte when that does get rescheduled. I actually went on the rescheduled day that I thought it was going to be, and they were surprised to see me. But I was late, so I was very glad that it wasn't actually happening. Turned out I was actually weeks early rather than 30 minutes late.
Also for clarification, Mr. Hollis, for site visits, there can only be 2 of us present, correct?
Yes, correct.
How about Oakland Charter Academy?
Both Oakland Charter and Berkeley Maynard was Commissioner Mesa.
So we will postpone all 3 of these for discussion, hopefully next month. That was supposed to be tomorrow, and that was supposed to be me, and I have to reschedule. Yes.
Let me check in because I already told the site that it was canceled for tomorrow.
Then let's not bother them again.
Okay. But if you want to join, Chair, I
feel
can
free.
add you to that.
I
guess depending on the date.
Oh, sorry. What's that? Next meeting. Okay.
I don't know if you're complete, but there are no public commenters for this item, Chair.
Actually, if you could get in touch with the site, I'd be happy to do it tomorrow. So, but if they prefer to delay it,
It
That's
was
fine, too.
supposed to be at 8:30 in the
that's
morning,
fine. I can do
so
that. Oh, that's
That
too
was
early.
probably
Yeah,
it's
forget
probably
it.
too
Yeah,
late
yeah,
to
yeah.
get
No,
a
no,
hold of the
it-
site.
And just if I may, the site visit calendar will have to be amended to show that you're on for that particular date, and which is why I was saying probably the next meeting would be best to make any changes to the schedule and populate it on.
It has to be amended before we go. It can't be amended after the fact.
Correct.
With that in
then-
mind, should we always have like a standing item that allows us to make revisions to that or not?
Could
We just skip it if we don't need it? I don't know.
that could happen. It's up to the discretion of the chair.
Yeah, I think we can add that, at least throughout, for the rest of this school year, since we have new members. Be good to do that.
And that was kind of my mistake. I just got caught up with all of I usually like having it on every agenda, but this time it slipped out of my hands with all these approvals, so that was on me.
A lot of work. Thank you. Anything else? No public comment. Any public comment on non-agenda items?
There are no public commenters for this item, Chair.
And no new legislative matters?
New legislative matters would come from the commission or from the public. We don't have any public members presenting new legislation at this time.
No members. Anything before I adjourn? I adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thanks, Tiffany.